At 1 p.m., the simulator bay at Laughlin Air Force Base is a sealed instrument. A faint smell of ozone hangs in clean air. Screens for the T-6A Texan II roll through EICAS and MFD checks, while soft tones rise and fall. Cables sweep in measured curves, and the steady hum says, everything is online. Controlled. Capt Riley Carter stands at the central console in a spotless flight suit. Hair secured within regulations. She works in quiet rhythm. Eyes moving from UFCP entries to system cues without wasted motion. In the gallery, the observation team watches with pens still, and Maj Gen Thomas Keating sits forward with a neutral gaze. The bay feels disciplined, calm, and ready. Cole Mark Dalton, an A-10C veteran with hard edges, strides across the floor. He crowds the console, tosses disdain at modern training, and clamps a fist on the front of Riley's collar. Security forces move at once under UCMJ and equal opportunity policy. Separate them, and create space, while the floor supervisor restores sterile control. The gallery holds still as Keating signals to continue the evaluation. Riley steadies at the console, eyes on checklist, prompts, and power status. Dalton stands to one side, present but restrained. With security forces near the door, the bay settles into quiet as the instructor station arms the test profile. Tension stays high. Stakes are clear, and the run is authorized to proceed. This simulator bay matters because it turns judgment into muscle memory. It looks quiet, but every switch and checklist line is tied to lives in real cockpits. Instructors use it to stress minds, not egos, and to measure how pilots think when the script falls apart. That is why it is not a video game. It is rehearsal for the worst day. In undergraduate pilot training, the T-6, a Texan II, is the first true classroom in the air. It carries a single PT-6, a 68 engine, has no fly-by-wire, and presents data through ICAS, MFD pages. And the UFCP, best glide near 125 kis, is a core memory item because airspeed buys time and options. When systems degrade, checklists, cross-checks, and crew coordination keep the aircraft inside margins that can be managed. The sterile cockpit mindset keeps chatter out and attention in during critical phases of flight. Respect for rank and procedure frames every action. And equal opportunity rules, and the UCMJ set the standard for how people treat one another under pressure. Evaluations in this room shape safety from the first solo through later steps like the T-38 or a follow-on airframe. For viewers new to aviation, the stakes are simple. Every detail here teaches a habit that protects a crew when something fails. At 1:20 p.m., Cole Mark Dalton settles into the T-6, a Texan II simulator, while the gallery watches in measured silence. Straps click. Oxygen hose and comms get a quick check. And the canopy frame closes on the mock cockpit. Supervisors track every action on the instructor station. Capt Riley Carter stands at the console, steady and focused. Red sky cascade loads with a harsh logic that pilots respect. The profile triggers engine flameout, generator failure that drags battery voltage low, hydraulic pressure low, and air data computer faults tied to pitot or static issues. GNSS spoofing stacks on top of INS drift, and the radios stutter with intermittent reception. EICAS lights and messages begin to stack, while caution tones surge. The stick feels heavier because there is no fly-by-wire to filter his inputs. Dalton goes to muscle memory from a different airframe, pulls hard, and chases the horizon instead of trimming and stabilizing. He skips critical memory items, missing best glide near 125 kis and leaving the prop unfeathered, which bleeds precious energy. His scan narrows, cross-checks fade, and warning tones grow into a wall. At 1 minute 23 seconds, the aircraft departs controlled flight, and the display prints the verdict. Aircraft lost, and pilot Kia. Dalton exits the sim hot and blames the system. But the room does not move with him. Security forces and the floor supervisor keep order as the gallery stays professional. Maj Gen Thomas Keating signals that the evaluation will continue. And Riley remains at the console, hands calm over the controls. At 1:40 p.m., Capt Riley Carter steps into the T-6A Texan II simulator with calm, precise movements. The bay is back to sterile control. She settles in, straps secure, comms checked, eyes forward. Supervisors in the gallery watch without a word, while the instructor station brings the profile online. Master caution tones rise. Riley runs a disciplined scan across EICAS and the MFD, then inputs on the UFCP. She sets trim for control feel and confirms engine parameters as they roll down. Her pace is measured and smooth, never chasing a single gauge. She executes memory items in order. Airspeed to best glide at about 125 knots indicated. Prop to feather. PCL 2 off. The glide stabilizes and energy stops bleeding away. Then she makes a simulated Mayday call and sets the transponder to 7700 while she sheds non-essential electrical loads to protect standby instruments and the most reliable nav sources. Hydraulic pressure shows low, and air data is dirty. She trusts what remains valid, cross-checking raw indications and attitude references. She plans an immediate forced landing option and keeps inputs small, almost gentle, so the aircraft stays inside a manageable energy window. The nose stays honest, the wings level through tiny corrections, and the rate of descent comes under control. EICAS trends begin to settle and tones reduce to a steady background. The gallery leans in. The instructor console shows systems stabilizing under degraded power. The sim posts a clear status that the aircraft is recovered and the pilot is stable. Riley stays businesslike at the controls, breathing even, eyes steady, already thinking about where to land. At 1:45 p.m., Riley commits to an off-field landing. She scans the simulator map and weather layers, reading the leading edge of a cold front and light ridge lift curling over low hills. A frozen lake sits between two ridgelines with clear approaches and few obstacles, and it offers the best surface for a controlled stop. She keeps her scan tight and sets the plan without drama. She shapes a high-key and low-key pattern suited to a single-engine trainer with a dead engine. Best glide holds near 125 knots indicated, while she times each turn to stay inside the energy cone. Air data faults persist, so she leans on raw indications and stable attitude references. The goal is simple: arrive high, arrive stable, and trade altitude for certainty. As the lake grows in the windscreen, she refines configuration. Flaps go to takeoff to manage drag, then to landing only when she is sure of the field. The gear comes down on schedule and the sink rate stays honest. A light crosswind brushes the nose, so she holds a small crab, eases it out, and guards the upwind wing with gentle aileron. The flare is shallow and patient. Tires touch the ice with a soft chirp, and the aircraft slides long and straight. She keeps the nose aligned and lets friction do the work until speed bleeds away to walking pace. At 1:52 p.m., the sim records a full stop. Riley runs a disciplined shutdown by checklist, while the instructors watch in stunned silence. The bay so quiet that every switch click seems to echo. At 1:52 p.m., the simulator freezes on a safe stop, and the bay settles into a deep quiet. Capt Riley Carter does not look up. She moves through a tidy shutdown by checklist, hands steady and deliberate. Warnings clear on EICAS. Systems fall dark in sequence, and the T-6A is secured. No one claps. Instructors watch from the gallery with pens still and faces neutral. Cole Mark Dalton stands off to the side, silent and contained, the hard lines in his posture softened by the stillness. The floor supervisor restores sterile control with a few low words and quick nods. Security forces hold a calm presence near the door while cords are coiled and screens return to standby. Maj Gen Thomas Keating lifts a hand in a simple signal to proceed to the briefing. The team resets the bay to normal, hum returning in measured notes. Riley remains composed at the console, and respect arrives without noise. At 2:10 p.m., the group steps into a secure SCIF and the door seals with the soft shut of a vault. The air is cool and still. The lighting low and even. Badges are checked. Personal devices stay outside, and a white noise hush replaces hallway sounds. Everyone knows this is where sensitive work belongs. Maj Gen Thomas Keating delivers a brief that stays at an unclassified summary level. He explains that the project exists to build better judgment under degraded conditions, and that evaluations in the sim bay feed, validated models and training updates. He keeps names and methods tight while confirming that processes and oversight are in place. The tone is factual and quiet. More duty than drama. The reveal is simple and precise. Capt Riley Carter is the lead test pilot and mission architect for Project Phantom 7, which integrates AI-coupled flight logic with neurosynaptic threat modeling to design degraded operations profiles for T-6A training and to inform tactics for later airframes without exposing sensitive specifics. Her record fits the job. About 3,200 hours of live flight time and about 7,500 hours in high-fidelity simulation, plus a test school pedigree that anchors her method. Multiple deployments shaped her calm approach to scan, checklist, and energy management. Security practices are emphasized at every turn. All classified details stay inside the SCIF, and nothing sensitive is displayed in the open bay. The purpose is not a perfect score. It is measured judgment when the cockpit turns loud and uncertain. The line that guides the work is clear without fanfare. The machine tells you everything if you are calm enough to listen. In the corridor outside the SCIF at 2:22 p.m., the brief ends and the hallway settles into a hush. The door behind them locks with a quiet seal, and the carpet takes the edge off every step. Cool air and steady lights make the space feel measured. Voices fade to a respectful murmur. Capt Riley Carter stops, turns to face Maj Gen Thomas Keating, and brings a crisp salute first, as protocol requires. Her chin is level, eyes forward, elbow clean, and fingers tight. The general returns the salute and holds it a beat longer than usual. Nothing dramatic happens. Yet the message carries. The air seems to still, and nearby, staff pause without being told. A camera on the wall blinks its tiny status light, then goes quiet again. The gesture works because it follows discipline, not because it bends tradition. It speaks to how calm and skill belong at the center of command. They lower their hands at the same time and share a small nod of understanding. Steady and real. No one needs a speech. And no one asks for credit. The moment settles into the fabric of the unit as plainly as a checklist taped to a console. Every day. Inside the framework of the United States Air Force, respect finds the right shape. Command moves quickly after the hallway salute. Colmark Dalton is placed on temporary suspension from flight status and removed from evaluation duties. A no-contact directive is issued to protect the integrity of statements. Security forces take initial accounts, and the case is referred to OSI for potential assault and equal opportunity violations. Maj Gen Thomas Keating appoints an investigating officer and sets the expectations for timelines, evidence standards, and confidentiality. The process is calm and documented, not driven by emotion. Capt Riley Carter continues her duties without public comment and remains focused on training and procedures. The unit keeps routine steady so people know the system is working. Findings at the conclusion of the inquiry support administrative action. After due process, Dalton receives reassignment to a weather detachment near Bethel, Alaska, with minimal notice and no ceremony. And his flight status remains grounded. The message is clear without speeches. Conduct has consequences, and accountability follows policy. The wing returns its attention to readiness. Before he departs, Dalton requests a private meeting with Capt Carter. He admits he was wrong and accepts responsibility for his behavior. She answers with a simple line that has guided her since training. Respect does not require noise. It requires presence. They part in quiet professionalism that honors accountability without spectacle. In the weeks that follow, small shifts move quietly through the wing. Supervisors linger after briefings to ask real questions and to hear full answers. Instructors learn the names of the quiet techs who keep the place running. Flight rooms begin to praise clean checklists and calm voices as much as quick hands. Across the T-6A community, the lessons spread in unclassified ways. Crews rehearse memory items until they are smooth at normal speed and under stress. Raw data cross-checks become habit when a display looks wrong or a sensor is suspect. Decision-making drills focus on degraded systems and energy management instead of perfect scenarios. A phrase starts to travel down halls and into squadron chats. People say, "Do not get Riley'd," with a half smile and a serious point behind it. The meaning is simple. Do not underestimate the quiet one, and do not mistake rank for mastery. A large print of the corridor salute goes up on a training wall with a single line about listening to the machine, and it turns into a mentor mantra for new flyers. Documentation keeps the profile name, Red Sky Cascade. Around step desks and chair flying sessions, many aircrew still call it the Riley Protocol during practice talk. And everyone knows what that means. Capt Riley Carter turns down interviews and keeps coaching new airmen on basics, like chair flying checklists and setting best glide without showmanship. Her voice stays even. Her notes stay short. And her feedback is specific and kind. The change is steady and practical. It feels contagious because it is built from repeatable habits, not headlines. Readiness improves one quiet decision at a time. Respect grows where people can see it and trust it. This story connects with aviation fans and casual viewers because it starts with a clear shock and ends with quiet recognition. The opening crisis hooks attention, yet the setting feels real and controlled. Viewers feel safe to lean in because the room runs on rules, not on noise. The emotion builds without theatrics, which lets the skill shine. The structure follows a familiar pattern that audiences instinctively track. First comes the hook when order is threatened. Then, failure lands when the first pilot loses control. The reversal begins as the captain takes the seat. The reveal arrives in the secure brief. The symbol appears in the salute. The consequence follows in the investigation. And the legacy spreads in the culture. Each beat is grounded in accurate Air Force practice, which turns suspense into trust. The T-6A Texan II is presented as it is. A single PT-6, a 68 engine, no fly-by-wire. Data through EICAS and MFD with the UFCP. Best glide near 125 knots indicated is treated as a memory item that buys time and options. Checklists are shown as lifelines, not props. Protocol details carry the same honesty. A sterile cockpit keeps chatter out during critical phases. Security forces step in, and UCMJ and equal opportunity standards control the response. Classified material stays inside a SCIF and never in the open bay. Salute customs are correct, and the accountability process moves by policy and evidence. Through all of it, the human center never moves. Capt Riley Carter makes small, disciplined choices while the cockpit grows loud. Her calm holds the frame for viewers who crave skill. And for those who simply want to see someone do the right thing under pressure, the heart and the logic meet in the same person. The takeaway is practical and portable. Composure beats noise. And discipline is a form of care for the people who fly with you. That idea is easy to share because it is useful beyond aviation. It fits a workday, a family moment, or a crisis. And it sticks because it feels true. Training rooms wake before the sun, and small habits begin to shape the day. Capt Riley Carter stands with a group of new airmen and walks them through a chair fly session. Hands trace invisible switches while her voice sets a clean rhythm. They rehearse flows until the motions feel honest and calm. She picks up a marker and draws a simple arc on a whiteboard. Best glide near 125 knots is written in plain numbers, and she shows how to hold it with trim and patience. They talk through what to do when air data looks dirty. The room stays focused and kind. On the T-6A flight line, the air is bright and cold. Crews point to EICAS and talk about a generator failure, how to shed loads, and protect the instruments that still tell the truth. Riley hovers at the edge of the scene and lets the younger voices lead. A checklist sits open on a kneeboard, and nobody rushes. Evening settles, and her office glows with desk lamplight. She reviews an emergency SOP and edits one sentence for clarity, swapping a word so a tired brain cannot miss the meaning. Down the hall, instructors tape a large print of the corridor, salute to a training wall. A simple line about listening to the machine becomes a mantra for a new class. In flight rooms, the phrase, "Do not get Riley'd," travels with a half smile and a clear message about respect for calm. Riley declines interviews and keeps coaching the basics. The quiet work that lasts. The narrator invites anyone who felt a small pause during this story to share it with someone who might need that same breath. Riley walks past the simulator bay as lights fall low, the space sterile and ready for tomorrow. This story is set within T-6A Texan II training at Laughlin Air Force Base. Procedures, terminology, and etiquette were presented to reflect real Air Force practice while protecting security. Operational details were framed to honor accuracy without exposing sensitive information. Specific names, identiques, and figures have been adjusted for privacy and mission integrity. Any discussion of classified efforts occurred only inside a secure facility, and no sensitive material was shown in public spaces. Content outside secure areas remained at an appropriate unclassified level. Do not attempt aviation procedures outside approved training and supervision. Emergency actions belong to qualified aircrew who follow checklists, instructors, and command guidance. Safety and discipline are the first priorities in every cockpit. We offer respect and gratitude to the service members and instructors who teach calm and competence. Our production team consulted open sources and subject matter expertise to keep this portrayal responsible. Thank you for watching with care and for supporting a culture that values readiness and respect.